Ever wake up and realize you've been secretly funding someone else's champagne lifestyle? I have. One ordinary morning, I glanced at my electric meter and swear it was spinning so fast, I half expected sparks to start shooting out the side, like I'd somehow inherited a power-hungry poltergeist. But nah, it wasn't my old gaming PC or some rogue space heater. The real culprit? My garage and a gold-trimmed golf cart that definitely wasn't mine. The one behind the wheel, acting like she owned the place? Karen, president of our HOA, sunglasses bigger than her ego, grinning while her eco-friendly ride sucked down my kilowatts. Now, I didn't rage or rant. Instead, I made a subtle adjustment to the outlet, nothing crazy, just a little tweak. She'd never notice, not right away, but it was enough to turn her sneaky scheme into a practical joke. What Karen didn't know was she just played her first move in a game. She couldn't win, and she didn't even realize the game had started. Let me back up a sec. 3 months ago, my electric bill was a cool $68. Last month, $214. This month, only halfway through, I was already staring down a $300 disaster. I live light, you know what I mean? It's just me, my laptop, some old kitchen gear, and a couple LED bulbs. Most nights, I'm asleep by 10, living in the little house my grandma left me. 2 bedrooms, a garage I barely use except for boxes of memories I can't bring myself to sort. I walk or bike everywhere, no car. And yet, my power bill kept climbing like I was running a nightclub. My first thought? The meter must be busted or hacked. You hear stories about crypto miners or digital thieves freeloading off smart meters. So I got a cheap security camera, pointed it straight at my garage outlets. I wanted proof, not paranoia. The first couple days, the motion sensor buzzed right around sunrise. I figured, raccoons, maybe stray cats. Third morning, though, I'm sipping coffee, check the feed, and almost spit it everywhere. There's Karen, in her Sunday best activewear, wheeling that ridiculous golf cart right into my garage like she's parking at her private country club. She plugs it in, checks her phone, and leaves in a silver Mercedes, all in under 4 minutes. Watching it felt like getting mugged, except the mugger had keys, a membership badge, and didn't even bother to hide her face. Every morning, 5:15 a.m. Sharp plug in, scroll, stroll, leave. On weekends, she'd linger, sometimes cleaning out the cart, poking through my grandma's old tool bench, making my garage her personal pit stop. At this point, it wasn't just about money. It was the audacity. Like, who decides, hey, I'll just use my neighbor's garage as my own? Normally, I'm not the confrontational type. I try to see the good in people. But the more I watched, the more it ate at me not just the cash she was stealing, but the assumption that she could get away with it. I started treating it like a game design problem. That's my day job. Build puzzles, hide traps, reward patience. Digging deeper into the footage, I caught something worse. Karen wasn't just stealing power. She was photographing my electrical panel, fiddling with my circuit breakers, jotting notes. She was casing my house like she had bigger plans than charging up her golf cart. So, I did some real-world recon. Called up the garage door company that fixed my opener months ago. Turns out Karen sweet-talked the tech into giving her a spare key, claiming it was for emergency HOA purposes. Official-sounding nonsense. She played him like a fiddle. But here's where things got wild. Turns out, Karen had a pattern not just with me. I scrolled back through HOA Facebook groups and found complaints she'd filed about electrical irregularities in other homes. Each time, the cases went away quietly, always after she'd had her little inspection. Now I'm thinking, she's been picking off the vulnerable neighbors one by one. And then plot twist, her own husband shows up at my door. Todd looked like a guy who hadn't slept in a month, eyes hollow. He tells me Karen isn't just doing this for free power. She'd been fired from her law firm for embezzlement, got hooked on control, ran for HOA president to rebuild her sense of power. He admits he's been trying to collect evidence for a divorce, but she's got eyes everywhere. Todd handed me a stack of her schedules, her social media passwords, a list of board members who are getting suspicious. Armed with all that, I built my own educational device, a simple timer relay that cut power to any outlet, drawing more than 15 amps for 5 seconds or more. Totally legal, impossible to hack, and invisible to anyone except an actual electrician. The first morning, Karen tried to charge her card after I installed it. The look on her face, priceless. Plug in, green light, count to 5, then bam, everything shuts off. She tries again. Same result. After a few minutes of increasingly colorful language, she gives up and storms out. But she doesn't stop there. Karen brings in a contractor, Rodriguez Electric, to check my outlets. The guy spends hours, can't find a thing wrong, hands her a fat bill. Meanwhile, my neighbor Mia, a Twitch streamer, sharp as attack, happens to catch Karen's meltdown on video. Next thing you know, the footage is online, golf cart Karen starts trending, the story blows up. Turns out, one of my other neighbors, Ray, is a retired detective. He'd been watching Karen, too. Over coffee, he shows me months' worth of evidence, fake invoices, phantom service contracts, bank transfers that lined up perfectly with Karen's maintenance requests. Ray says my little garage problem is exactly the proof he needs for his ongoing investigation. And just when I thought I'd seen everything, Karen strikes back with a lawsuit so insane it sounds like it was written by a Hollywood villain. She sues me for cybercrime, defamation, harassment, and throws in half the block for good measure, including Ray, Mia, her own husband, and even old Mrs. Patterson down the street. But Ray? He's ready. He'd already been working with the FBI. Turns out, Karen was part of a network of corrupt HOA presidents across 3 states, siphoning millions in fraudulent service contracts. My timer relay and Mia's viral video triggered a federal investigation operation subdivision. Karen's garage scam was just the tip of a very expensive iceberg. On the day the FBI came for her, Karen went down screaming, live streamed to millions. Her lawyer tried to stonewall, but Todd, the long-suffering husband, handed over reams of documents, finally breaking free. The whole neighborhood watched as Karen's secret insurance vault was opened, full of records, backup drives, cashed the final nail in her coffin. My house became the epicenter of a criminal case studied in law schools. My little timer system evidence in a RICO case that took down a multi-state fraud ring. And you know what? Out of all this chaos, something good actually stuck. The HOA was rebuilt from scratch with Ray as president, meetings live-streamed, all books open, every dollar accounted for. Mia's coverage turned her into a legit citizen journalist, helping spark a movement for HOA reform. 6 months later, Karen's in prison. Her assets are liquidated. I get a check, not life-changing money, but enough to fix up the house and, in a twist of irony, turn my garage into a community tool library and charging station. Karen's infamous golf cart? Now it's painted bright blue and yellow, used by neighbors for cleanups and emergencies. The old-timer's still counting down for every charge, but now, everyone laughs together instead of looking over their shoulder. You know what this whole mess taught me? Sometimes the smallest acts, a camera, a clever timer, saying no when someone steps over the line, can flip the power dynamic. I used to think keeping to myself was the best way to avoid drama, but now I get it. If you don't defend your boundaries, someone else will redraw them for you. So what do you think? Did justice win out? Or did Karen's scorched earth tactics leave too many scars? Ever deal with an HOA president who thought the rules didn't apply to them? Share your stories, call out what you do differently, and let's talk about what real justice and real community ought to look like. And hey, if you love seeing the underdog win with a little bit of brains and a whole lot of nerve, stick around. I've got more stories where that came from.